we are going to be looking at the Automatable Failover APIs and how to configure that service in BlueCat Address Manager and how it allows you to enable an externally automated failover when the primary address manager fails. This feature offers network admins an option for both manual and automatable failover when an outage is detected. Automatable failover process to secondary BAM reduces time spent on manual steps to break, trust, and replicate the time that is critical during an outage. This service uses HTTPS self-signed certificate as authentication mechanism for secure API connectivity. And the monitoring API we ship with this feature will provide comprehensive overview of BAM server health status and performance, which will help the BAM admins to determine when to trigger the manual or automated failover process. This customizable failover APIs allow you to enable an externally automated failover when the primary address manager fails. And also, it guarantees service uptime in a short span of time during failover, and this service is resilient and continues to function during BAM process and DB failures. Here is a rough architecture diagram. As you can see here, we need to upload self-signed certificate for API authentication, and we have a separate service called tenant on the appliance with BAM to query the endpoint to return the health status of address manager. And this API can be called on primary and secondary address manager servers as well. And we have set of APIs to carry over the actual failover process. One is promote and second one is takeover. The promote API will promote a secondary address manager servers in the cluster to primary BAM, and the takeover, which will notify all DNS and DHCP servers controlled by the old primary server to the new primary address manager. And we will let the user or mission to basically orchestrate how they want to do failover. Now that we have covered the use case and architecture, let's look at Automatable Failover APIs in action. First, we'll discuss about the failover scenario and how to enable or disable the failover API services in BAM. And then we'll continue with API flow. Here I have configured 3 BAM servers, and one being primary and 2 standby servers. Also 2 BDDS servers deployed and assigned to primary, and I have a Postman client for API demo. Here I am logging to the primary BAM, and I'm going to make sure we have the correct users with right privilege. Okay, and let's make sure we have the BDDS servers connected to this primary BAM. So you can see we have 2 BDDS servers. Next, let's verify the notify.properties on BDDS servers and make sure it's notifying to all 3 BAM servers. Here I'm logging to the BDDS server 1. As you can see, it's notifying to all 3. The next thing I would verify is trust relationship and DB replication. So let's verify DB replication here. Looks good. Click on admin. Let's verify the trust relationship. Okay, it looks good. So let's proceed to configure the Failover API service. Here, click on Failover API and enable Failover API services. You have to upload the certificate. And for this demo purpose, we have already generated the trusted certificate. And here's the documentation which shows like how to create that. Now select the right certificate here for server. And enter the passphrase. And same thing. And upload the file. Just want to verify this. Looks good. And I'm going to update the service now. Let's verify. Okay, looks good. Okay, now let's continue with the standby 1 and standby 2. We have to follow the same process to enable Failover API service. Upload the certificate, verify and update. I'm going to the standby 2. System config. Okay, now let's move to the API client configuration. I just want to make sure the certificate is uploaded here. Okay, looks good. So primary and standby 2. Okay, here are the APIs already pre-configured here. The first one is health, and as you can see, the port number is 8444. That's the default port. And I just run this health check on the primary server. It shows the status is up, and it will give you the information about disk, memory, and its own database. REST and SOAP is up, and the replication status, and the cluster, the standby 1 and 2. Okay, it looks good. Now let's do the same thing with 17 and 18, the standby 1 and 2. Okay, as you can see, it's not a primary, so it looks good. And the replication status, standby. Everything looks good here. Let's go ahead and do the same thing with standby 2, 18. Okay, again. Showing the replication status here. Okay, now it all looks good, and we can try to replicate the failover situation here, like by turning off the primary server. I'm logging into the primary. Let's stop that service. It's going to take some time. Let's check the health status here. The primary. Send. Okay, it's down. I think it's stopped, and let's go ahead and check the replication status. Okay. Okay, now let's promote standby 1 to primary by calling the promote API. And before that, let's make sure the standby 1 else is good. It's up. Okay, now let's call the promote API. Note it's a put command, and this will trigger internal process like breaking the replication and removing the trust on the old primary which we just killed. And also it will create a new cluster and re-establish a trust between the new primary and the standby 2, between the 17 and 18. So it's going to take a while. And also remember, this is an asynchronous call, so even when this returns a status, the process is still running on in the backend, and it will take a couple of minutes based on the environment. Meanwhile, I'm checking the status of 18 to see the replication. It still shows failed to connect, and okay, it says like promote in progress. And once I receive the status as primary, then I will move on to takeover. Okay, I'm checking the status again. Okay, here it shows this, it's up, and the role should be primary. Yep, the replication role is primary here for the standby 1, just 17. It's good. Okay, at this point we can call takeover API to do the last step to move the BDDS server to the new primary. Okay, let's verify the standby 2 one last time before we run takeover command. So it looks good. Okay, it shows only the .17, which is a new primary, and the standby 1. Okay. Okay, let's get ready to run the last command, the takeover. So it basically performs a takeover on each one of the BDDS. So the command is manage server/takeover, and we need to run it on the new primary, which is .17. Again, it's going to take some time based on the number of BDDS servers you have. I'll fast forward this video here. Okay, here I got the results as both BDDS servers are moved successfully, and that concludes this demo. Let's do a quick recap on the 3 APIs we called to carry over this failover process. The first one is health, which queries the host PAM for its comprehensive health information and statistics like the DB health and the BAM process, notification statistics, deployment and replication information, etc. And the second one we call is promote, which promote the standby BAM to primary, and this breaks and resets replication, including removing trust relationship between the old primary and the standby servers. Also, the third one, the takeover, which ensures all BDDS to send notification to the new primary BAM.